Lawwin Media Network.
Bringing to you the most relevant content across all platforms.
Business, legal, politics, health, lifestyle, and entertainment.
Your source for all the news and updates in the greater Houston community from Texas and all over the world.
Get informed and empowered with Lawwin Media Network.
The following program is produced by Lawwin Media Network. The views and opinions expressed in this program are solely those of the individuals appearing on the show and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Lawwin Media Network, its affiliates, sponsors, or partners. The content provided in this program is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. Lawwin Media Network does not guarantee the accuracy, completeness, or timeliness of the information.
Wait. Okay. Let me see. Okay, it's live. Okay. All right. So, good morning everyone. Good evening sa mga nasa Pinas. And welcome to another episode of today's lesson, Educators Empowering Stories. And today, so you're with me, Teacher Alfie. And pag-uusapan natin today, we're going to talk about Discovering America, a J1 Exchange Teacher's Journey. So kung sino man yung mag-share ng journey niya, that's me. Okay, so I'll be sharing to you guys my journey as a J1 exchange teacher here in America, and as well as my other experiences while I was here. So it's not only the teaching side, but then there's a lot to also cover about my teacher's journey here in America. So right now, I'm currently having my vacation here in San Diego, pero I am based in Houston at the moment. So yeah. Even if you're not, even if you're like based in one state, you can actually travel from another state. Yeah, so from a state to another state, ganyan. So possible yon, okay? Yeah. So okay, let me just see here. Okay. All right. So we have Miss Mylene, okay, I just want to greet her. Okay, good morning, watching from the Philippines. Okay, yeah, if you have questions, by the way, please post it to our comment section, chat box. Okay, so post it, and I will answer your questions later on. If you have sharings as well, for those who are J1 teachers who are watching right now, so I'm encouraging you to share also your experience. Okay, yes, so sharing of experience tayo ngayon dito. Okay, yeah, so for those who are oh, my friend Rory. Okay, teacher Rory, good morning. So she's from North Carolina. Yes, yeah, and I think we have the same timeline. Yeah, same yung timeline namin sa Houston, pero ngayon, yeah, there's some like what's this time difference. Okay, so J1 exchange teacher. So what is J1 exchange teacher? So There are several pathways for you to get in here. So para kayo makapagturo dito sa Amerika. So one is the H1, okay, which is has a pathway for green card, and then the other one is J1, which is an exchange program. So you have a visa sponsor with J1, and then it usually takes 3 to 5 years to finish the whole program, and then you have to go back to the Philippines to serve for 2 years, and then if you want to, let's say, have an or apply for another program, so you have to wait for 2 years, okay, to reapply for a program, or maybe apply for an H1 already, okay, and so on. Okay, so that is J1. Okay, yeah. So right now, so I'm under that program. Yeah. So, what were my preparations? So prior to coming here in the yeah, prior to coming here in the US. Okay, so um, ako kasi, so I've been going back and forth, okay, here in the US. Um, so I have relatives here, so I visit them, and then I remember, so pandemic came, yeah, so that was like the longest stay that I had here in the US, yeah, as a tourist. So 6 months yon, yeah, 6 months na nagstay ako dito, and we're actually planning to extend it before, but then yung friend ko na nasa Texas, na ngayon nasa Pilipinas na ulit kasi tapos na yung kanyang J1, um, nag-message siya sa akin nung nakita niyang pag-alagala ako dito sa US, yan. So, travel, ganyan. Message siya sa akin, sharing her experience, and then sharing then the process on how to apply for J1. So, I took her advice, I tried to apply, and then nagtuloy-tuloy na yun. So, I was still here when I started processing my documents. So for those who are wondering, can you apply even if you're here already? Even if you're a tourist? Yes. So pwede po yun. Like, you can apply, but then later may share ako na importante that even if you're here as a tourist and you're gonna apply for J1, you have to do this. Okay? So, yeah, so it started there, and then after that 6 months that I've been staying here, so nagbayad pa kami for extension na hindi ko in-expect na I would be already for submission of requirements. So ibig sabihin it's like semi-accepted already in the program. So I had to get certain documents like NBI, good standing sa PRC. So yun yung mga documents na yun. So hindi ko siya magawa while I was here in the US. So I had to go back even na mayroon akong pending na extension. So bumalik ako ng Pinas, and then yun, request ko yung mga documents na yon. I waited for another 5 months, okay, bago ako makabalik ng US, kasi I have to, of course, have my interview also in the Philippines. Yeah, so I cannot do my embassy interview here, okay, as a tourist. So I have to go back to my home country, which is the Philippines. Yun. So if you're a tourist right now and you're planning to apply for J1 and nandito kayo sa US, so ang advice ko sa inyo, go back muna to the Philippines and then process those things. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we have a question here from Mr. Christian Toledo. Okay. What is the acceptable rate for the J1 visa? Do they approve a lot of applicants? Um, I would say at this point, there's an influx of applicants, both on the side of J1 and H1. Yes. So I'm actually also giving like advice. Okay, my personal advice to people na nagtatanong how to apply for J1 exchange program. Yeah. So usually binibigay ko sa kanila yung visa sponsor ko. Yeah. So I don't know if I'm allowed to mention their name, but then yeah, if you would like to ask that, so you just ask it siguro personally ganyan. So yon. So may mga bumabalik sa akin na response from my visa sponsor na puno na yung yung slot or puno na yung application. So I would say may high naman na high acceptance rate, pero dahil nga sa influx, so nakaka-apekto yun. It affects also the like your chance of getting accepted, because there's a cut-off. Okay, you have to remember that there's a cut-off. Certain school districts, they were given a certain amount of teachers that they can acquire, okay, for the program. Yes. Okay, so Teacher Rory says EPA is one. Yes. Actually, maganda din yung EPI. I think there's less gastos if you're gonna apply through EPI. Yes. Yeah. Yung visa sponsor ko, so there's also like a small amount to pay. That's for the processing fees. Yeah. For the placement. Yeah. But other than that, so that's it. Yeah. Okay. So there are visa sponsors that would require you to pay. There are visa sponsors that are for free kasi binayadan na ng district. So you just have to do your research. Ayan. So yun, kinonfirm ni Teacher Rory. No fees in EPI. So that's good. Okay. Yeah. So you if you are looking for a visa sponsor right now, I know that some people right now are looking for a visa sponsor. They already have the job offer letter. Okay, so yeah, that could be one consideration for your visa sponsor. Okay. Okay. So what's the objective of J1 exchange program? So the main objective of this program is for you to gain experience, okay, and also to enhance your skills in teaching. So I would say kasi there are a lot of strategies na ginagamit dito na I would say would be very effective. Yeah. But not all strategies, I would say, would be siguro applicable in the Philippine setting. But then it gives you like a wider perspective, yeah, in teaching. So yun yung maganda, okay, with being exposed here. So once you go back to the Philippines, so you have something that you can actually apply, yeah, and yeah, so madami ka ng mas dumami yung skills mo. Kung madami ka ng skills na dala, mas nadami ba yung skills mo pag-uwi. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. So, yung application process, we've been discussing that. Okay. Visa requirements and initial expectations. Okay. So, the usual requirements, I remember, so I submitted a foreign credential, evaluation, Yeah, yung FCE for it could be from Spantran or from West or from any other agencies that give foreign credential evaluations. So yeah, okay. I will continue with the other requirements. Okay, and also what could be the initial expectation when you apply? Okay, um for the J1. Okay, so I will share more of that. Okay, after the break. So we will have first our break. Okay. And we are back. So we were talking earlier about the application process. Yeah. So based from my experience, so I mentioned already that one of the requirements would be the foreign credential evaluation. So let me explain that further. So a foreign credential evaluation. So this is evaluation of your transcript of records. Okay, so from your bachelor's, if you have finished your master's, so that would be included. If you finish your doctorate degree, so yeah, so you pass all your transcripts to that foreign credential evaluator, and then they're gonna process it and they're gonna check the equivalency of those units to the university units here in the US. So that's how it works. Yeah. So um, some districts they honor um, yung units mo sa masters and sa doctorate. So maganda 'yon kasi it could give you like a step up sa salary, okay? But there are some districts na mas bina-value nila or they value more on the experience. Yeah, let's say if you have, let's say 28 years of experience, so that would be like a high step up already in the salary. Yeah, so I have colleagues like that they came here with 28 years of experience. There's one who is retired already in the Philippines with, I think, with 40 plus experience. Yeah, and then when they passed that service record here, so ang laki na naging step up ng sweldo nila, anak ko. Yeah, so aside from meron na silang pension sa Pilipinas, so ang taas pa ng sahod nila dito, 'di ba? Ang saya lang. Okay. So, what else? Ano pa nga ba yung mga sinamit ko? Yeah, so actually depende din sa visa sponsor kung ano yung mga requirements na hihingiin nila. Kasi minsan meron din mga medical. But then sa J1, hindi naman talaga required ang medical. But then there are some agencies that that require like for you to undergo medical examinations. So ayun. What else? So of course, basic requirement para magka-visa would be the passport. So yeah, mag-apply na kayo ng passport nyo. Okay. I also see that there are a lot of questions about license. Yeah, PRC license. So I think there's some visa sponsors that not require like a PRC license, but then they are looking at the experience. So advisable is to have 2 years of experience, at least 2 years of experience. Yes. So if you have the 2 years of experience, you're good. Okay. And also, yeah, I would recommend that because that would save you from having a total culture shock. So, syempre naman, no, kailangan mag-experience ka muna so that hindi ka naman ma-culture shock din sa pagtuturo. Yeah, kasi remember, the approach here, it's different, okay? It's different from the approach that we have in the Philippines. So, yeah, better take note of that, okay? So, ayun. So requirements, okay? So you have also to undergo visa interview. Yeah, so I remember my visa interview. Actually, yung um first visa interview ko as a tourist. So wala akong kahirap-hirap doon kasi I remember yung mother ko, yung brother ko, and ako yung nag-apply noon. That was way back in 2007. Ang tagal na. 2007, we applied for a tourist visa. Yeah, because my yung brother ko, so gusto niya bisitahin yung kanyang wife, and then that's actually a good opportunity as well to spend my semestral vacation here in the US. So, yon. Noon, documents lang pinasa namin. Wala akong ini-imik sa embassy. Yeah, kasi all the talking, it's my brother who faced the consul. Yun, so easy peasy. Noong nag-apply na ako ng J1, yun na. So sabi ko, oh my gosh. So ako lang yung haharap sa consul. So I have to prepare myself. Yan. So ayun, medyo even if I have undergone the interview process before, hindi ko pa din naiwasan na kabahan kasi it's the first time that I'm gonna speak with the consul because before when I applied before, so walang ganon. So yun, but it went well. Yeah. Yun. So ang dami. I can remember there's a lot of applicants na J1 that time that I was applying for the visa for J1. So yeah. Okay. And then there's some people also that are renewing their visa. Yeah, for J1. Yung extension. So papinili nila mag-renew sa Pilipinas. So I'm not sure about that kung paano nangyari yon, but then yes. So let's skip that. Okay. If you have questions regarding the process and done, just post it here on the comment section. If you have also sharings, don't hesitate to share. Okay. Okay. Arrival and cultural adjustment. Okay. Ayan, sabi ni Teacher Rory, madali lang ang extension. Okay. Tatanungin kita dyan na. I'm gonna ask you about that. Yes, because I'm now on my third year of on my program. Okay, so so I'll be I'll be processing soon my 2-year extension because I intend to like maximize my my program here. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. In addition, also, they did not ask a lot of questions according to Teacher Rory. Yes, that's good to know. Okay. Yeah. Medyo gumagaan naman yung loob ko dyan. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, I heard that madali lang yung extension. Yeah. So ayun. What else? Okay. So yeah, I'm starting off with a new topic here, which is about arrival and cultural adjustment. Okay. So, nung nag-arrive na ako dito sa okay. Yan. So, Okay, before I answer the arrival, there's another question by Jewel Bakani. Okay, so there's something about DS 2019. Okay, thank you for mentioning that because I forgot to mention that. That's also important. Yes. Okay. DS 2019. So that is a form that you need to apply, that you need to also have, okay, as proof of your program here. Yeah, so aside from the visa, so um, ito yung form na pinahawak, the document that you are holding that would prove that you are um, legally legally in the program or in the J1, okay, visa. Yes. So whenever you go out, let's say you're gonna travel outside of the US, so it's very important that you have that DS 2019. Okay, so in the DS 2019, it stipulates your school, your salary, yeah. So nandoon yon, yung information, the vital information that the immigration needs to know. Okay, so yeah, ayan. So yun yung DS 2019 na tinatawag. Okay. So without that DS 2019, you cannot push through with your visa processing. Okay. So it's your visa sponsor who will process your DS 2019. And then if you have your DS 2019, so that's the time that you can actually get an interview at the embassy. Okay. So yeah. So yeah, arrival and cultural adjustment. So I remember prior to arriving here, so um, our school district provided us with what do you call this? An ambassador. Okay, so they assigned some people to be ambassadors. So these ambassadors would be the ones to help you to okay. Right. So these ambassadors will help you um, to get you through in your location. Okay, so siling susundo, they will fetch you from the airport. They will accompany you in getting your supplies. Okay, in going to your apartment. Yeah, so it's like it's like they serve as your like your companion. Okay, during the first day, so that you will have a smooth adjustment here, transition. Yeah. So ayon. Okay. So I remember my ambassador was the one to fetch me at the airport. Um it was like around 7 p.m. already in Houston when I arrived. Yeah, and when I stepped out of the airport to wait for my ambassador, it was so hot. Doon pa lang na culture shock na ako. Sabi ko, 7 o'clock na ng gabi, ang init pa din. At tiwik pa yung araw. So, ayun. Kaya, yun, those are things na, simple things na made me like culture shock. Yeah, so even if I had an experience already of living here for 6 months, so living here in San Diego, na culture shock pa din ako nung dumating sa Houston kasi ibang-iba pa din talaga. Like not every state is the same. Okay? So iba't iba pa din. Ayan. So ayun, adjustments, madami pa naging adjustments na ginawa. Yeah, there's still a lot of adjustments like on the part of acquiring transportation, ganyan. So at first, wala pa akong kotse noon. Nung dumating ako the first week. So, I had to take Uber, ganyan. So, luckily, meron naman akong natabi para makapag-drive dito. sa US. So, I rented the car for the first week na hindi pa ako nakabili ng kotse. Yun. So, rented the car, and then after that, I purchased my first car. Yes. So, hanggang ngayon, hinuhulugan ko pa din. Ang sakit nga sa bulsa eh. So, yun. Transportation-wise, it differs from every state. So, there are states na public transportation is very accessible. There are states that you would be required to purchase a car. So in my case, in Houston, so there's public transportation. There's metro, there's Uber, yeah. But then the metro, the train, the transit, it's not that accessible. It's not that totally accessible. So mahirap. Hindi kagaya sa atin sa Pinas na pumara ka lang ng jeep, yan, makakasakay ka na. Okay, or pumara ka ng tricycle. Dito, no. So, yeah, it's a different, so iba. Okay? All right, so we're gonna pause for another break. Okay, so we will be back, and then we're going to continue, okay, sharing more about the arrival and cultural adjustments. Okay, so stay tuned. And we're back. So we're still talking about arrival and cultural adjustments. Yeah. So as a J1, yeah. So cultural adjustment in the classroom naman tayo. So nung first kong na-expose sa classroom with the students, so tahimik silang lahat, ganyan. So by the way, I'm teaching high school. So I'm fortunate that like my bachelor's degree is secondary education, and then I get to like have it aligned here in the US. So ayun, because there's some na even if they're secondary, they finish secondary education, they're teaching like elementary here. But that's okay. Yeah, that's still okay. Yun. So mostly yung aking students, they're like Hispanics. So the population of my school mostly are Hispanics. Yeah, which is I would say good in a way kasi we share common values and common cultures. Yeah, because they're also like Spanish influence. Tayo may Spanish influence din. So okay. Yeah. Yun. So at first year I would say madugo. Okay. It's not a bed of roses, I would say. Yeah, because approach wise in the classroom is very different. Okay. Yun. So yun palang culture shock na. Okay. Yun. But then as the days, months go by, so I finally get to know like how to approach the students and how the instruction flows in the classroom. So it helps that you also like check or like watch videos um, on what's going on in the classrooms here in the US. So mahalaga din na meron kayong background ng ganon kasi para hindi naman totally culture shock. Yun. So, ayun. I had issues before with behavior as well. Okay, di mo maiwasan yun. Pero eventually, nung nakuha ko na paano ba yung sistema dito. So, everything went smoothly. Yeah. So, yeah, that is in the classroom. Okay. Yeah. Pakikisama also with the other teachers, it's a different thing as well. Okay? So, kumbaga sa atin, iba yung French, yung pag-establish natin ng connection with the teachers at home and also with here. Okay? So though I have also like I have established like friends as well here, pero I noticed that there's some like differences as well. Yeah, because I guess with the culture as well. So yeah. Okay, what else with the adjustment? Okay. So madami akong naging adjustment talaga, like in general, like not only in like the workplace, in the school, but also yung living talaga, like how you live your life here in the US. Yon. But I would say masaya. Okay, in general, masaya siya. And I always like practice gratitude. Okay, kasi yun yung isa ding you have to be grateful kasi sometimes you would feel na nakakalungkot kasi you're away, you're like in another country, you're away from your friends from the Philippines, ganyan. Yon. But then at the same time you have to be grateful and you have to practice gratitude as well kasi madaming tao na gustong pumunta dito. Yon, pero hindi lahat nabibigyan ng opportunity. So, ayun. Okay. Cultural adjustment. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, what else? Okay. Teaching experience. Okay. So, description of the school and classroom setting. Okay. So, ibang-iba. Ibang-iba yung classroom setting. Kasi talagang pina-practice dito yung yung small group instruction, ganyan. So tables are set up in a different way. So sa atin, di ba, yung mga arm desk, ganyan, sa Pinas. Dito hindi, talagang full, yung talagang table talaga siya, tas yung chairs separate from the table, ganyan. And then it's flexible, movable siya, ganyan. I think there's some private schools in the Philippines who are prescribing to that furniture in the classroom already. Yung the table is separate from the chair so that you can move it around. So yeah, so they're really big on student-centered. Learner-centered teaching. Okay, yeah. So it's highly practiced. It's highly practiced here in the US. Yon. So kaya masaya lang. And also resources, what's the supplies, everything, so provided ng school district. Okay? Yan, kaya masaya. Okay? Internet sa classroom ang lakas. Kaya it's easy to implement like blended learning, ganyan. Yon. And the access of learning management system is so so easy. Okay, so easy to implement. Yeah. So yeah, classroom setting. Usually also the number of students would be not around 40. Okay. Yeah. So here they limit it to 25. That's in the case of in Houston. Okay. So 25 in a class. Ayan. And minsan meron pa akong kasamang co-teacher. Yan. Pag may mga sped students that needs accommodation. So provided 'yan, okay, ng school. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So what else? Okay. Yeah. Successful stories, okay, and memorable teaching moments, yung mga tipong aha moments. Yan. Oh. Um Madami, I would say. Madami mga aha moments talaga. Yan. Yon. So the challenge right now, yeah, the challenge right now that I would say would be in the use of um technology, okay? Kasi technology meron siyang pro, meron siyang cons, okay? So I'm talking here of not just phones but then also devices that are capable of communication, ganyan, social media. So minsan ng mga the students are distracted. Yeah, so that's the challenge that I think everyone is facing. Yeah, especially if you are in the upper levels. Yeah, so yung mga bata divided ngayon ng attention between makinig or makinig or do the task or focus on the social media. Yeah, so that's why you have to make your lessons engaging. There should always be rigor. Hinahanap lagi yan dito. So ayun. Okay, that's on the side of the teaching. Okay. Yeah. Pero as J1, okay, yeah, so dadago tayo ngayon sa segment na to. Okay. So should also be a part of you that you are doing community engagement and cultural exchange. Okay. So it's not always in the classroom. Okay. Yeah. So you should be involved also in local community activities. So ayan, kasi ito yung ano din kailangan ma-instill din whenever you apply for a J1, because it's not only teaching. If you're gonna focus only on the job in school, so chances are, number one, baka ma-burn out ka. Okay. Yeah. Number two, if something is not executed well, baka naman ma-frustrate ka. Okay. So try to relax as well. Okay. Have time off for yourself, because I would say yes, mas madali magtuhod, mas madali yung I would say preparations here in the US, because you don't have that much paperwork. But then if you are going to like only divulge yourself or submit yourself to teaching, so no, dito kasi they value work-life balance. Okay, so pag work lang talaga. Pagka life outside of the classroom, life mo talaga yung outside of the classroom. Wala makakagambala sa iyo doon. So ayun. Okay, so that's one thing na you have to remember as well. Okay, so yeah, So, involvement in local community activities. So, madami yan. Okay, madami kayo pwedeng salihan. So, like, even those who are not in J1 na Pilipino na nakilala ko here in the US, so, like, weekends, they spend it on local community activities. Like, I have a friend who is doing, like, volunteer sa isang dog organization. Okay? So, yeah, so every weekend ginagawa niya yon. Okay? Yeah. So, there are some who do volunteer work. Ganyan. They join organizations. Yeah. There are also, like, Filipino organizations. So, in our case, there's actually a group of like a teacher organization in Houston. This is called Safe EP. Yeah. So, Safe EP provides, like, activities for teachers, ganyan, and also professional developments, ganyan. So, ayun, madami pwedeng gawin, okay, for community engagement and cultural exchange, yan. So, also, if you're in a cultural exchange program, in a J1 program, so we are expected also to share, like, our culture. So, yeah. So, the Philippine culture. Yeah. So, sometimes I would do that. Okay. Like, I would bring something that I can share. Yeah. Sometimes, like, a simple food. Ganyan. So, I share to the class. Oh, ito. Okay. So, this is a Filipino food. Ganyan. Yon. And also, yeah, do interactions with them, with the students, ganyan. So, nagsisingit-singit ako ng mga sharings about the culture, okay, of the Philippines. Yan. And as well, in return, sila din, nag-share din sila ng culture nila. Yeah. So, in my case, since diverse yung students in the classroom, so they're not all, like, born and raised here in America. Some came from, like, from outside of America. Yeah. So, natututo din ako with other cultures. Ganyan. Yon. So, what else? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, we have another question here from Mr. Christian Toledo. Okay. Do you ever have Filipino students as well? How do they feel about actually seeing a teacher that is like them? Okay. You know what? Gustong-gusto ko talaga magkamera ng Filipino students in the classroom. But then, right now with my school, so we don't have, surprisingly, we don't have Asian students. Okay. So, not just Filipino students, but Asian students, wala. But there are some communities here in the US or some states that do have high Filipino population. Yeah. So, for example, here in San Diego, here in California, there are communities, okay, specific communities for Filipinos. Okay. Yeah. So, I'm gonna share more of that. So, after the break, okay, nakalabas pala ng break. Okay, and then, yeah, so we will go back to the sharing about that. Okay, so stay tuned.
Lawn Weekly News.
Tune in live Sundays 8 a.m. Central Standard Time and Sundays 6 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Lawn Weekly News.
In a world filled with fleeting moments, there's beauty waiting to be captured. My name is Christian, and I specialize in immortalizing your most precious memories, from elegant weddings to vibrant events and timeless portraits. I'm here to make every moment unforgettable. Let me tell your story through the lens. Contact me today and let's create magic together.
And we're back. All right, so going back to the question of Christian Toledo, so do you ever have Filipino students as well? So we were talking about that. Yeah, this is actually a good question. Gusto ko tong question na to. So, yeah, we don't have Filipino students in my school. Yeah, but then in some other states, yeah, so going back, as I have mentioned, for example, here in San Diego, so there are school districts that have a high population of Filipino students. Yung tipong 40% of the population would be Filipinos. Yeah. So in Texas, I think small portions lang. There could be like siguro may mga schools din sa Texas na may mataas na Filipino population, but then not all. So yeah. Yeah, there's a second question. How do they feel about actually seeing a teacher that is like them? Yeah, so hindi ko masasagot yun kasi hindi ko masasagot because yun nga, wala pa ako na experience na like Filipino. Yeah. So, pero how I wish, okay, that I would encounter like a Filipino student, yeah, one day, yeah, yun. And also like I'm having thoughts also when I heard, yeah, from a friend na there are school districts here in San Diego, like here in California, na madaming Pilipino. Sabi ko, oh my gosh, parang gusto ko lumipat. Yun. Yun, parang it gave me an idea. It gave me an idea about that. But, yeah. Oh, tapos, ano din, this is sharing also of my friend. So my friend is actually, he experienced having school here in California. So yung school na napuntahan niya, yun nga, 40% Filipino, and then they have Filipino organizations in the school. Yan. Yun. So yun yung maganda. Yun yung maganda sa kanila na na meron silang iba't ibang din. Tas I'm not sure if Filipino is taught in that school. Parang may elective din ata sila na Filipino. So, yeah. Yun. So, right now, I'm teaching English in the high school level. But then, if given the chance to teach Filipino, like, I would do that. Yeah, I would do that. Ayun. But then, right now, since we don't have that, we don't have a Filipino population in my school, I don't think that we can offer that. Yeah. So, ayun. Yeah. Okay. What else? Okay. Professional development. Okay. So, we have a follow-up question. Okay. What are the different restrictions that you experience while teaching in Texas? Any restrictions about talking about religion, race, etc.? Good question. So this does not apply only in Texas, but in most of the states. So we have to be careful with talking about religion, race. Okay, that's sensitive. Okay, kasi nga always expect that the classroom is diverse. You have different students with different religion, with different race. So yeah, so sa atin, 'di ba, highly kumbaga in the Philippines, we have a high population of Catholic students. So most of the time, in most schools, we pray right before we start the class. Here in the US, it's not practiced like that. Okay, kasi nga we have different cultures, we have different religions inside the classroom. So iba. Okay, it's we start we start the flow of the class in a different way. Okay, so yeah, so I don't share much with religion. This is my opinion now. I don't share much with religion in the classroom um, uh, because I'm avoiding not to be discriminatory. Yeah, so that's why I'm very careful with that. Okay, yon. So ayun. Um, sa partner restrictions, I think that's what I can say. You have to be careful with sharing your um, like religion or race. Yeah. So ayun. Uh, okay. Beliefs. Okay. Also with the beliefs, diba? So you have to respect also um, uh, their cultural beliefs. Yan. Iba't iba kasi sila ng culture mga bata sa loob ng classroom. So, we have to respect that also. So, usually what I do, I listen, ganyan. And then, I appreciate what they share. Ayan. Because I also learn from what they share. Yeah. So, I do believe that teaching is a two-way exchange. Like, it's not only the teacher that should be the one to only impart knowledge. So give give also the students the chance to like impart their knowledge as well. So yeah, and uh, that would actually help you also to as a teacher to grow. Yeah, kasi pag naintindihan mo sila, if you understand where they're coming from, so that would make your preparations, your delivery instruction personalized, diba? So it's like you do feel what they feel. Yeah, so you know for your from yourself what they would actually need in the classroom. So yeah, okay. So all right. I guess we are now down to okay, the last portion, okay, which is giving you the recap because we are almost out of time already. Okay, so ang dami na pag-usapan, no? Pero um ang dami pa din pwedeng pag-usapan. There's still a lot of things that we can talk about J1 experience. But then yeah. So advice that I can give. Okay. So you just have to be prepared. Okay. Um, if you are worrying about being culture shock, kasi madaming ganyan. Like ako, um, uh, my first worry, actually my worry, because I know that the students here in the US are different from our students in the Philippines. So that actually hindered me to apply before because I don't have any plans actually of teaching here in the US. That was during the first like uh, months that I've been like going back and forth here. Yeah, so hearing from my relatives na, ay, nako, iba yung culture ng mga bata dito, ganyan. So, ganon. Yon. But once I immersed already in the classroom, nung nandun na parang, ay, okay, kaya ko naman pala. So, eventually, yon, na ano ko na. Kumbaga, nakuha ko na din. So, it helps to like watch videos. Ang dami-daming nakapost ngayon na mga videos, mga tips, ganyan, on how you can actually uh, teach in the classroom. Yan. So that would actually help. Okay? Yon. Do your research. Actually, mahalagang mag-research. Yan. Um, um, it's very important that you also consult people. Yan. I'm actually one of those people na very willing na mag-impart, okay, to impart like knowledge on how to apply, how the process goes, ganyan. Also, I also give tips. Yeah. So, yeah. So, madami namang pwedeng tumulong, pwedeng mahingian ng advice. So, when it comes to like considering J1 exchange program, okay? So, yeah. So, what else? Okay. So, yun. So, if you have that desire to apply here in the US, whether it's whether as an H1 teacher or a J1 teacher, yeah, don't be afraid. Okay, but then equip yourself. Okay, that's important, and also do your research. Okay, um, what else? And yeah, I guess that's it. Okay. Anyways, thank you for tuning in for this episode of today's lesson. Okay. Yeah. So I chose this topic for today because I would be on hold for now. Okay. Because I'm gonna focus on my professional development, and I'm taking like other courses as well. Yeah. So, medyo madaming ano tayo, madaming inaasikaso sa buhay. Okay, so yeah. So, but I will once that I have maybe once I have finished everything. Yeah. So yeah, I'll try to go back to the podcast. Okay. Next week, so it's gonna be Teacher Luz who's gonna be with you for another episode of today's lesson. Okay, so if you have further questions or um, you need some advice, okay, so feel free to check my Facebook. Okay, so it's searchable naman. Okay, so it's Alfie Garing. Yeah, so that's Alfie Garing. You just search it on Facebook, and if you have any questions with regards to the process of applying for J1 exchange, so feel free to send me a message, and yeah, I'm gonna answer those questions. Okay, so yep, that's it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, and um, tune in to the next episode of today's lesson. That's gonna be next week, Saturday. Okay, same time. Okay, here at Lawin Media Network, and also follow Lawin Media Network for more updates. Okay, yes. So thank you, and okay, thank you, and that's it. All right.